Hello my sweeties and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are going to find out if The Haunting of Bly Manor is better than The Haunting of Hill House. Let's get into the video. The Haunting of Bly Manor, which is Netflix's new horror series for October. If you don't already know, it is directed by Mike Flanagan, the creator of The Haunting of Hill House. Before we get into anything involving the story, I think it's important that we talk about each ghost and what they mean. And I think I'm going to talk about how I feel about them and which one was my favorite. Our first ghost is obviously going to be the lady in the lake. She is probably supposed to be the most sad spirit there, but for me, it was kind of hard to feel bad for this spirit just because I feel like she kind of sucks. Like, when she was alive, she was kind of shitty anyway. That's just my opinion. She is the stubborn, miserable ghost who is very confused and obviously does not want to move on. She died at Bly, and every night she wakes, she walks, as Carla Gugino would say. And each time she's trying to find her daughter, but after years and years of time, she has kind of forgotten who she is and what she's even looking for up until the very end, if you have watched this series. The second ghost, I'm going to be talking about Peter Quint, who is played by the incredible Oliver Jackson Cohen. Peter Quint is basically the vengeful spirit. The only thing I want to say about Peter Quint is, if you guys didn't think men are trash now, men are trash even when they die. Basically, Peter Quint does not understand the difference between love and possession, and he continues to manipulate and hurt Rebecca Jessel, and at the end of the day, he manipulates her in order to get what he wants, and that is for her to be there for the rest of eternity with him. That brings me to number 3, and that is Rebecca Jessel, our former au pair. And Rebecca is a victim of heartbreak, manipulation, and overall, at the end, when you notice what happens to her, she's basically like the weeping victim. And it's actually really quite depressing when you find out what happens to her. She did all of this for the man she loved, and he really just did her dirty at the end. He took her life by manipulating her so she could be stuck in the manor with him. And I think that if it wasn't for Hannah Gross's character, who I will get to in a second, I think I would have thought that this story was the most sad. Number 4, we have Edmund, the man with the glowing glasses. Now, this ghost is actually not a part of Bly Manor at all. This is not a Bly Manor ghost. This is actually Danny's personal ghost from her past. And this ghost of her ex-boyfriend is haunting her because the night that she decided to tell him that she couldn't marry him because she was gay, he ends up getting hit by oncoming traffic in front of her in the most heartbreaking way. This ghost basically has been haunting her, and it just represents her guilt and a little bit of shame. And it's something that she doesn't know how to move on from. Number 5, we have Hannah Gross. And this ghost, at the beginning of watching this show, I honestly didn't realize at all that she was a ghost. Some people are actually saying now that it was quite obvious because she never eats and she never drinks. But I actually didn't catch on to that during my first viewing. Probably when I rewatch it, I'll catch on. But I definitely was not catching on to that. But it kind of did surprise me just because everybody was interacting with her and hugging her and touching her. So I honestly didn't even realize that she was a ghost. So that was pretty shocking to me, and it was really heartbreaking. Hannah has yet accepted that she is dead. You start to figure this out because she keeps seeing this crack on the wall. And the crack actually resembles what she sees at the end of the well, I believe, when she ends up dying. So I feel like Hannah Gross represents a cracked mind. The story of Hannah was so sad. The fact that she fell in love with Owen like so quickly, and she didn't really get to have that moment and have that relationship with him, and she just died. And she really just wanted to be with the man she loved. She wanted to be, you know, by his side while he's like cooking dinner for the kids. And there's something really sad about that, about not being able to finally like get that moment that you want, and you just die as you're falling in love with this man. So that really kind of made me sad. I am like a sap for romance stories. So I'm just gonna say now that, you know, you guys might not agree, but for me, it really hit different. Okay, so now that we got all the ghost, I think for the most part, I think we did. But now I actually want to talk about what I enjoyed, some highlights, performance things, etc. So let's get into that. The one thing that I really enjoy about Flanagan's work is just he really knows how to tell a ghost story. And I feel like that's like his strong suit is ghost stories. So I kind of just want him to keep doing that. He knows how to tell them in this way that is just like whimsical and sad and stylistic. And it just feels so human. And that's what I really love about it. Like at the end of the day, there are probably people that are saying this was boring and this isn't a horror like show, etc. And you know what? This is a ghost story, and it shows so much real and raw emotions, but it's never cartoonish. It's always very poetic, and in a way it's theatrical. For me, this is like really intimate, and I really like it. Even with Haunting of Hill House, I think it was very theatrical, and that's part of why I really enjoyed it. But I actually didn't enjoy Hill House fully until I watched it a second time around and really took in everything that he gave us, including the hidden ghosts and such. Which, if you love the hidden ghost in Hill House, I think you're really gonna love Bly Manor, because there is a few hidden ghosts in this series. There's definitely not as many, but there is definitely a few that you can spot. Personally, I feel like I enjoy Flanagan's series more than I enjoy his films. I didn't really enjoy Dr. Sleep. I enjoyed all the reenactment scenes of The Shining and all that. I really just vibe more with his storytelling in a TV show format than I do in film. But I am sure that I will feel differently because he's still creating, and he's still pretty early in his career, that I'm sure there's going to be so much more to look forward to. Some highlights I want to discuss is obviously the acting, and I just want to say I think that the acting is perfectly splendid in this series. There are just golden moments here where I just admire the work, and I can tell how much fun they had on set, but also how much effort and how much care they put into these characters. They really did care and love who they were playing. And I think that's what's so special and intimate about Haunting of Hill House and also Haunting of Bly Manor. I don't want to compare the two because they're so vastly different. And I hope that you go into Bly Manor with an open mind if you haven't seen it, because it's definitely not like Hill House. So if you're expecting something that's going to be like Hill House, unfortunately, you will not get that here. In terms of performances, of course, I adore Victoria Progetti. I think that she's always great. Always. She's always great. She's a star. She's a star in the making, honestly. I definitely loved Tania Miller. There's something about the way that she played Hannah that was just so soft and so genuine and so real. I felt like I knew her. I felt like she was so warm. I felt like I wanted to hug her. I loved her character. I loved how she played this role. Oh, I loved her character so much. Also, I loved her outfits. Like, yes, girl, give me those turtleneck vibes. I love all of that. Also, just like, can we talk about that one scene? I am sure everybody who's here has seen it, but just that one scene that just keeps repeating as Hannah is basically dream hopping, and she keeps getting back to that moment of the interview between her and Owen, and he just keeps repeating the thing about he was a sous chef, and he's trying to help her remember and realize that she is gone. That scene is heartbreaking, and that scene is brilliant. I love that. That might have gotten on some people's nerves, but I truly love that. And the moment that she finally realizes it, it's heartbreaking. And it's even more sad that, you know, she's so in love with him. It's so sad that they couldn't find out what was meant to be of them. Next, I want to talk about Oliver Jackson Cohen. I love him. I love this man. He's incredible. Like, if you guys thought he was incredible in The Invisible Man and in season 1, his character was so awful and manipulative and he's just awful, but there's something about the way he played this character and just, the way he was crying. And, there were so many moments where he almost made me cry, and I was like, I should not cry for you. Like, you suck. You are manipulating these children. You are manipulating Rebecca Jessel. Like, I hate you. But, the actor is so brilliant that in some way, even though you really despise this character because of how shitty he is, there's something there that you feel like, you know, you still feel sad for him. There's some like empathy you have for him. And I think that it's brilliant that he played this character this way. Next, really quick, I want to talk about Henry Thomas. This is a big cast. I'm really sorry if you hate this video and you want to click out right now because it's so long. I love this man. I love Henry Thomas. I think that he's an incredible actor. I just want to talk about the fact that I think his performance was great. I love that he has this other version of himself that came about when he found out that his brother and his brother's wife had just died. And basically that other version of himself represents his addiction to alcohol, and I just think that that was brilliant. I love the scene, and I think that brought a lot of depth to his character. I think that this is very similar to Danny with Edmund in a way. Of course, I love Carla Gugino. I think that she's incredible. I love her with my whole heart. Oh my gosh, I think it was brilliant that she is actually Jamie in the end. And she's the one telling the story, and when you find out who she's telling the story to, oh my gosh, I really loved it. I know some can think it's cheesy, but I really think it was well done. I think it was really good storytelling. Okay, guys, so I know a very long video and you all want to know, do I think that The Haunting of Bly Manor is better than The Haunting of Hill House? I am going to say there is no comparison because they are so vastly different. Hill House was a bit more personal for me because it shows like a toxic family, and I think that's why I enjoyed it more. I could relate a bit more to these characters, and overall it made me very emotional, especially on my second watch when I watched it alone. If you go into Bly hoping and wanting it to be scarier than Hill House and hoping that it'll top Hill House, don't. Do not do that. You will disappoint yourself. These are two completely different stories, and I think they both need to be seen and taken that way. I don't think that this was a step down for Flanagan. This definitely was a step up, but just in a different direction. And I actually really, really like that. I hope that you watched Bly Manor before you watched my video because I definitely did spoil some things. But let me know below if you enjoyed it. Let me know what you didn't like. I would love to talk about this more. I think that Flanagan's work, there's so much to talk about, which is why this video is so long. But, you know, the one thing that's really great about him is that no character is ever forgotten and no character is really ever underdeveloped. They always have a story of their own and they always feel like real people. It never feels like this person is there just to be a plot point. And that is something that I really have to just... Okay, you guys. So my rating for The Haunting of Bly Manor is going to be 3.5 Levs out of 5. I really enjoyed this. I gave Haunting of Hill House a 4 out of 5, but I think Bly Manor is great. I think this is a great thing to add to your list if you haven't seen it for Spooktober, and if you have, again, I would love to talk about it. Anyway, that's it for me. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.